all my fins are hard. They have the internal fillets, and now I'm going to put on the external fillets. But there's one thing that I have to take care of first. I drilled these holes right here to put the epoxy in. Well, if there's any holes that are still open, they have to be filled, or when you put the internal fillets on, it's going to ooze down in there and it's going to sink, and you're just going to get a low spot right in the middle of your fillet. So that's got to be filled. You can fill this with pretty much anything, but it depends on where the holes are. So if your holes are really close and they're going to be underneath the fillets, then you can just fill them with like wadding or something like that. If they're a bit further away out into the middle of the tube, you probably want to fill it with epoxy. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use the Bond-Aid. It's a putty epoxy, and it's a 2-part mix. And to use this, it's got a plastic wrap on the outside, but it's got both A and B parts right in the middle, and you just cut off a piece and then you just knead it together. Take off that plastic. And this is like way overkill, so this hardens within 5 minutes. I mean hard in 5 minutes. It's going to be warm to the touch because it's a little bit exothermic. That means it gives off heat as it cures. So you have to work it pretty quick. So you got maybe 30 seconds to 45 seconds of mixing time, and then you need to start using it because it stiffens up really quick. This is good for on-the-field repairs or anytime you're in a hurry, but you don't really care what the surface looks like because it's going to look like a lump of clay. It does sand, so you can sand it smooth afterwards. So if you leave it a little bit high, then you can come back and sand it off, and that will work just fine. So I'm just going to take a little dab, and I'm just going to find my hole here. I'm just going to press it in there. Okay. Now this one here will probably be inside the fillet, but I might trim it off just a little bit. Right about there. Same with that one. Just scrape it off. And I'll come back later after it's hardened and sand it down. As you can see, I've already put masking tape on most of the parts. On this side, I've already filled that hole, and see how hard it is. Yeah, that's rock hard right now. So that one is already covered, or it's ready for epoxy. This one is a little bit, half of it's going to be covered up by the fillet, half of it's not, and that's kind of what I mean. So and I put the tape down, and it's just a way to make it easier to clean up. So while the epoxy is still wet, we'll pull the tape off and it will leave a line. So I just press the tape down. You can see I'm only about 1/8 of an inch away from the corner, the edge. That's what I prefer. I like nice tight fillets. You might want wider ones. It's purely up to you. It's going to be strong either way. They're already strong because of these internal fillets. So these external fillets, it will add strength, but primarily it is for aerodynamics. So I'll just go around the perimeter here. I always like to fold my tape over so that when I'm ready to pull it up, I can just, and we'll do the same thing in the back. This rocket's really long and I keep hitting the back wall. Okay, so I'm ready for my epoxy. I'm going to be using the Aeropox or the Rocket Epoxy from Glenmark. It's a 2-part mix with a dye in it to help you make sure you got it mixed. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up, and then when we get back, we'll start laying in the epoxy fillets.